out here and I'll call it day 2. Fine. In day 1 we saw how to configure WebDriver in the project. Okay, these are the reference libraries for WebDriver. We saw how to configure WebDriver in the project. In day 2 we will see how to use WebDriver. Okay, right. If your screen size is small, just double click on your screen, it will maximize it to optimum size. Okay, so this is day 2. Fine. Now I'll create under the source folder. Hold on, before I go to the source folder, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you the concepts of object oriented programming. Fine, because you know the architecture of Selenium is completely object oriented in nature. Okay, the mistake which people do is that they directly jump over to Java and try to work with Selenium. To some extent they are also successful, fine, but in real terms people they don't know what they are actually doing, firstly, and secondly if they are stuck on they are not able to figure out how to come out of the problem because the basics are not clear, right? And uh, thirdly, learning Selenium becomes very easy if you know the concepts of object-oriented programming in Java language. Fine. So the first step in object-oriented programming, learning object-oriented programming, is that I'll create a new class over here. Fine. And just keeping it very simple. Fine. I will say name the class as school. Okay. I'm not keeping any function inside this class, main function or something, right? I'll just keep some properties. Okay, like what is the property of the school? Like int students, int number of students, right? String name of the school, right? So this is a school class. It holds two properties, right? The number of students in the school and the name of the school. Okay, fine. Now I can create the object of this class. Hold on, let me create the object and tell you what creation of our object is, what the object does. Just hold on, I'll create a new class known as say client with the main function. The class with the main function can be executed because the control comes in inside the main function when you run the program. Fine. So out here I create the object of the school class. I write school or I write just new school. Okay. If you write new school, this means I am creating the object of the school class. Technically, what does this mean? This means that in the memory, an object will be formed. Okay. That object will have properties like number of students and name. These will be the two properties of this object. Okay, right? I can also write new school 2 times or 3 times, as many times as you want. But what happens is that every time I write new school, a new object is created. In that, the properties number of students and name, these two properties they reside. Every time these two properties they reside. Okay, right? Now out here you cannot access these objects. Okay, you cannot simply go and access these objects. To access these objects you need to have object references. Okay, you have to write school say s1 is equal to this and school s2 is hold on equal to this. So what happens is that S1 and S2 become object references. Okay, S1 and S2 will become object references to the objects. Fine. So it is something like this, that is in the memory S1 will point over here and S2 will point out here. Okay, guys, just give me 2 minutes. I'll be as I said that if you write like this, then S1 points towards first object and S2 points towards second object. Okay, right? You can also write something like this. Say school S3 equals to null. That means S3 is a reference. This is known S1, S2, and S3 are known as object references. Technically, they are known as object references. They point towards the object. S3 right now is pointing towards no object. Okay, right. But on the next line, I can write S3 equals to new school. So it will point towards a new school object. Okay, and every object will have the property name of the school and all, and the number of students. Okay, so right, Seema is not able to see my desktop. Uh, she's not in the training. Okay, now if you write over here S1 dot, you will get the options. Name, I'll say that it's a school A, and S1 dot number of students equal to 100. So what I have done is that to the first object I have assigned the property that number of students are 100 and the name of the school is school A. Fine. Similarly, I can this is known as object initialization. I can initialize my second object S2 dot name is B, right, and S2 dot number of students are 200. Okay, S3 dot name is C and S3 dot number of students are 300. Okay, so these are the three objects S1, S2 and S3. Okay, S1 dot name, I can put different properties in different objects. Okay, although the name of the variables will remain same, but every object will have a set of its own variables. There is a disturbance in my voice. Is there a disturbance in my voice? Are you guys not able to hear me clearly? Okay, Gopinath says that there is no disturbance. Look, the thing is, you're clear to me. Make sure that you are having no electronic equipment near you. Okay, there should be no electronic equipment near you, right? Because it creates a problem. Okay, make sure that there is no electronic equipment. Yeah. Okay, few people are not able to join the training. Please note that in trial classes maximum 25 people are allowed. Okay, so S1 dot name, S2 dot name and S3 dot name, you have given this. Fine, and every object has got a separate property. If you want, you can print, you can write over here S1 dot name, S2 dot name and S3 dot name. So if you run this, A, B, and C. Okay, right? So this is what an object is. It's got properties, and you can initialize the properties. Okay. Now, at times, you know what? Sometimes, people don't have an initialized object. For example, I write over here school S4 equals to null. Fine. And sometimes people try to access properties of an object which is not initialized. If I write S4 dot name over here, I will get an exception, an error. That is null pointer exception. Null pointer exception is a very important and a very common error for most of the people. Okay, this comes up because you are trying to access a property of a reference which is not assigned to an object. S4 is not assigned to any object, it is pointing towards nothing. So you get a null pointer exception. Fine. So to start with, and to give you a very basic idea, fine, it is something like the object is something like it's got properties, right? It can access the properties inside the class, right? Every object will have certain set of properties. Okay, right? So now let's move forward. Now, how is this used in Selenium? Right, I said that fine, school is a class, I created some objects of the class, I initialized the objects and all, and I told you, fine, but how is this helpful in Selenium? How will we be creating objects in Selenium? Okay, right, just give me 1 minute, I'll give her the recorded video of the first class. See, here is the recorded video of the first class. Day 1 recording. I think I also gave the video to you. I hope everybody has got the recorded video of the first class. I am again pinging the recorded video of the first class to you. Fine. I had also emailed it. Okay. Fine. Now this was school class. Fine, and I created objects of school class. Okay, now in Selenium what happens? Let me configure Selenium in the project now. Yesterday I had told you how to configure Selenium. You have to add jars of Selenium in the project. You have to right click on the project. Hold on, my project is hanging. Yeah, right click on the project, go to the properties. Fine, go to Java build path. Okay, and go to library section. Fine. In the library section, you will have add external jars. You click on this and add the jars of Selenium. Right. I have added the jar files of Selenium out here. Okay, under the referenced libraries. All right. Now out here, our project is Selenium enabled. Now there are many classes in these jar files. The best way out here is to actually go to the website. Hold on. Go to the official website of Selenium. Go to seleniumhq.org. Fine. This is the official website for Selenium. Okay. Click on download link, and you will have the Java doc option over here. This is the documentation for Selenium. Okay. There are many classes which are present in this documentation. Right. For example, hold on. There is a class known as, these are all internal classes, we use them while working with Selenium. Don't get afraid because just looking at that, oh my god, there are so many classes. Right, we'll look at them, just be with me. right? For example, there is a class known as, hold on, yeah, out here it is a Firefox driver. This class is responsible to work with Firefox browser. Okay, all you need is that you need to create the object of this class. You need to write over here, hold on, I'll create a new class known as Selenium Basic. Okay, so Firefox driver is a class inside Selenium which is representing the Firefox browser. Okay, which is representing the Firefox browser. You have to write like this over here, new Firefox driver. Okay, create the object of this class. You get an error. You move a mouse over the error and you see the option to import Firefox driver. You import the Firefox driver. So when you create the object of Firefox driver like this and you run your program, you will see that a blank Firefox window will open up. Fine. Just by creating the object of Firefox driver class, you are able to open a blank Firefox window. So this is the usage of Selenium. Everything is inbuilt. Okay, out here I made the class school and then I made the objects of that class. Okay, but in Selenium everything is inbuilt. Firefox driver, ChromeDriver, iDriver, Android driver. There are various driver classes for each and every browser. Okay, fine. So you really don't have to make something of your own. You need to know what is there in the API, what classes are there, and you need to create the objects of those classes. Right? This was just an eye opener to tell you what an object is. Okay. Now coming back to school class. These are the two properties of the school. Right. There can also be functions in the class. You can write over here public void start school, something like this. Inside it, I can write system.out.println and then starting the school followed by the name of the school. So this is a function which is there inside the class. So this function will be present inside each and every object as well. So if I write over here s1 dot, you'll get the option start school, then s2 dot start school, then s3 dot start school. Okay, if I do this, then s1, s2 and s3 will call their corresponding start school function. So if you run this, you will get an output like this, that is starting school A, B and C. When s1 calls the function start school, it prints the name of A1 because in start school I have written starting the school plus the name. So it depends who is calling this function. Okay, if s1 calls it, then it will print the name of s1 or s2 or s3, it depends. Okay, right? So an object is something which is having the properties of the class inside it. It's like virtualization. You just, if you look at the school's class, then there are just three things. One is the number of students, name and start school function. But by creating object of the school class, I can initialize every object different. Okay, fine. Now there are some properties which are common for all the objects, right? For example, every school is having some, is affiliated to some kind of, you can say, board, okay, or some kind of governing institute, right? Something like board which decides what schools need to do. Okay, so if you have something like string board name. Okay, that is the kind of rules which the school has to follow. Who is the governing body for the school? So all the schools will have the same governing body, that is some government institution or something which lays out the guidelines for the schools. So over here, if I write something like S1 dot board name equals to central board. Similarly, I can initialize S1, S2 and S3, but it doesn't make sense that if all the schools are having the same board, it doesn't make sense to put the board name property in every object. Every object will have the property board name. Okay, but it is common for all the objects. Okay, so whatever property is common for all the objects, we don't keep it inside the object. Okay, what we do is that we make that property static. This is what static is. People, they really get confused what static is. Static is something, the static variable is something which is common for all the objects. Okay, fine. Static property no longer remains the part of the object. It will reside somewhere out here in the memory. Board name will be somewhere out here in the memory. Okay, and all the objects can access the board name. It will be common for all the objects. Okay, fine. So now, how is this used in Selenium? Or how? First of all, how do I access this? Look, you don't need to create the object to access the static property because it doesn't remain inside the object. I can simply write something like this, that is school dot board name equals to central. Okay, right. So school, you can access the static property with the name of the class dot the name of the property. Okay, for example, out here if I write Firefox driver class dot, you will have the static properties which are present inside this class. Okay, so if you write class name dot, you get the static properties of that particular class. Again, a simple example. For example, if I write string industry type, we all know that schools fall under the education industry. All the schools will be under education industry. So you make this field static because it is common for all the schools. Fine. And in the client you can write school dot industry type is education. So this property will be common for all the objects, that is the industry of school is education industry. Right. Fine. So in a class there can be two types of variables. These variables are known as technically non-static variables. Okay, and these variables having static are known as static variables. Non-static variables can only be accessed by creating the object of the class. If I have to access these variables, I have to create the object and access them. Fine. So right. Okay. So static and non-static variables, these are the two types of variables. And the function over here, this is also of the two types. This is known as non-static function. Okay, or if I make another function which is static, public static void, say any function, a function which is common for all the schools, then this is known as a static function. This will not be a part of the object. Static is never the part of the object. You can call it directly. You can call it over here. You can write over here school dot xyz. So static things can be accessed directly with the name of the class, but non-static stuff has to be used by creating the object of the class. Okay, right? Now let's go to Selenium basics. Out here I just created object new Firefox driver, and when I was running this, it was simply opening a blank Firefox window. Okay, fine. If I give it a reference, I write over here Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver. So what will happen? I have a reference, or I write fd, right, Firefox driver. This will point towards this object. On the next line, I can access the properties of this object. You see that so many functions are associated with Firefox driver. These all are the non-static functions which are present inside the Firefox driver class. As we proceed with the course, we will come to know what this does. Right. For example, close function. fd.close. If I run this, the browser will open and it will close automatically. You see that? As the name suggests, close. Or there is another non-static function known as get. You specify the URL where you want to go. http yahoo.com. Look, mentioning the protocol is very important in this function. People at times don't write the protocol, they just write yahoo.com and they get the error. It is very important to mention the protocol, don't skip that. If you run this, hold on, you see that it goes to yahoo.com. Just a minute. Right, so it goes inside the yahoo.com website. Okay, right, and HTTP is the protocol which is being supported out here. Okay, right. So at times people they forget to mention the protocol. Like in QTP, if you directly write navigate to the browser.navigate and you don't put the protocol, it does, but Selenium will not. If you run this, you'll see that the browser will open and on the next line you get an error. You see that error comes up, exception. Technically it's known as exception, right? WebDriver exception, right? Component returned failure, malformed URL. Okay, so you have to read the error carefully. It also tells you the line on which the error comes up. If you look at this, it is telling you that Selenium basics.java line number 11, the error is there. If you click on this, this line will be highlighted. Okay, so it goes to HTTP. You have to put the protocol. Fine. Similarly, there is a class known as ChromeDriver. You write over here ChromeDriver dc equals to new ChromeDriver. You create the object of this class. Okay, you import it. Fine. You create the object of Firefox driver, then you create. I just comment this, right, and you create the object of ChromeDriver class. When you run this, all of you will get this error, illegal state exception. The path to driver executable must be set by this property. Look, whenever you see an error, don't get confused. Okay, people really get confused that, oh my god, I'm getting an error. You just have to follow. You just have to find how to fix it. Copy the first line and just search on Google. You'll get the solution. Just search on Google. Copy the first line of the error. Search on Google. You will see various solutions for this. People have encountered this problem earlier as well. Okay, right? I hope you are able to understand me. Fine. So now out here, what is the solution? The solution is there for ChromeDriver. You have to actually use an exe file. Hold on. Go to the website seleniumhq.org, and out here under the download link, download tab, you will find that third-party browser drivers. There is a ChromeDriver, which is a third-party browser driver available, right? And you have to actually use this, right? This is not a one which is developed by Selenium HQ. Probably this is the one developed by the Chrome people itself. Okay, you go to this link Chrome, and right, you go to this download link on the top. Okay, and download has been moved to this position. Yeah, download the latest version. Go to 2.9. ChromeDriver for Linux, Mac, Windows. You download this. Right, and extract it. So it's over here. I'll just cut it and paste it in my G drive. This is the ChromeDriver.exe file. Okay, you don't have to execute this file. You will not get anything by executing this file. You have to keep it in the system path. You have to write over here system.setProperty. Now system is an internal class. It is inside Java language, and setProperty is a static function inside that class. Okay, setProperty is a static function inside the system class, right? Okay, system is a class and setProperty is a static function inside the class. I told you, right, that static stuff can directly be accessed by the class names like school.xyz, school.property, school. Some other property. Okay, fine. So out here you have got system class, and inside the system class you have this set property function. Okay, now what kind of property you can set? You have to set the path of ChromeDriver.exe. You have to write webdriver.chrome.driver and set the path as G drive ChromeDriver.exe. I'm sorry guys, you might be getting some background noise. Sorry for that. So G drive ChromeDriver.exe. You are setting the system path for ChromeDriver, and when you run this, you'll see the Chrome will launch. You see that Chrome has launched. right? Now you can do anything with it. So this is mandatory for Chrome. Okay, you can write over here ChromeDriver dot say get to the URL, same URL say yahoo.com. It will take it to yahoo.com. So but this path has to be mentioned. Okay, yes, there are some questions being asked that on the top I have imported some things. Look, these classes are present inside the jars, inside one of these jars. So I have to import them from the jar. If I don't import them, I will get an error. Okay, you have to move your mouse over the error and select the option import, and the error will go away. Okay, right? So so you have to import these classes. If you don't import, you get the error. If you want to import in one go, you just hit Control Shift and O of your keyboard. All the imports will be done in one go. It's a shortcut. You hit Control plus Shift plus O of keyboard. Right. Okay. So now if I run this program, both Firefox and Chrome will open up, and both of them will go to Yahoo website. See, Firefox opens up and it's going to Yahoo. And Chrome opens up and it's also going to Yahoo. Okay, right? So I hope you got the point. Right. Now about ChromeDriver, you need to know one thing, that in your task manager, even if the program is over, you will see that ChromeDriver.exe will continue running. Okay, so you can either close it manually, because unnecessarily whenever, like I executed my program 2 times, I can see 2 ChromeDriver.exes. Okay, so you have to end it over here unnecessarily, your PC gets hanged because so many exes will keep on running behind. Or you can write the command dc.quit. Quit will completely close the session. Okay, this will close the exe as well, and it will close the browser as well. Okay, fine. Now there is something for Internet Explorer. There is something known as Internet Explorer driver. See, if I write just the word I and hit Control spacebar of the keyboard, it will tell me all the classes which are starting from the letter I. So if I keep on typing, say I N B E R N B T, so it keeps on shortlisting the classes, and in the end I get Internet Explorer driver. This is the one. Okay, this, as the name suggests, this is used for I, right? I can create the driver for this. Okay, and you have to set the system path as well. You have to write system.set property webdriver dot I dot driver. It is mandatory, and from the Selenium website. Hold on. From the Selenium website, you have to download the iDriver server exe for 32-bit I or 64-bit I, whatever you have. Like for 32-bit I'll download. Right, I already have it rather in my G drive. No, I'm not having it. Hold on. And there's a exe for I as well separately. You download it and I'll paste it in my G drive. This is the exe. Okay, So you have to give the path of this, that is in G drive iDriver server.exe is present. Okay, so you create the object of the Internet Explorer after that, and you need to keep the iDriver server exe in path. Right. One more thing is there. Okay, in your Windows 7 or Windows 8 based machines, you have to do a setting. You have to do a security setting. Hold on. Go to Google and you write over here security levels in I8 in, hold on. Yeah, this you need to go to your internet options and you will get a page like this. Just 1 minute. Much. Just hold on. Yeah, security zones in I. So you have this page like this in which you have got 4 zones: internet, local internet, trusted, restricted sites. Just 1 minute, guys. Let me find a bigger picture. I'm using XP, so it will be different. So it will be something like this. In that, you will have a scroll bar. Make sure that this scroll is at the same level for all the 4 zones. Only then it will work. Okay, for all the 4 levels, the scroll has to be at the same level. Fine. And another thing, in your eye, the zoom level should be set to 100%. If the zoom level is not set to 100%, Selenium will not work. Okay, right? So now when you run this, you'll see a blank I will open. Hold on. The driver, okay, .exe. Fine. So yes, in real time we need to. Yes, in real time we need to download these exes. Any reason behind these? These are not limitations, Venkat. These are settings which you have to do. Okay, these are settings for Selenium. So when you run this, unblock it, and you see that I will open up and it will fire the commands. Just hold on. Right. Okay. So these are the 3 browser driver types which I have taught you as of now. Okay. Right. So Gopinath is asking a question: why do we need to set the levels in all the 4 tabs? This is how iDriver is made, Gopinath. This is how it's made. You have to do that. Okay. Now there might be some reason behind it which, like, I'm not knowing, but the people who made it, there might be some internal dependencies and all which they might have faced, and they did that. Okay. It will support the latest versions and all. Also the older versions are supported. Okay. Yes, you if you can download it, that's fine. If you're not able to download it, you can ask your admin last day. Okay. So these are the 3 major drivers which I have taught you. There are other drivers as well. If you look at the website seleniumhq.org and go to the download link, you will see Java doc. Okay, and in that, hold on, I'll tell you. Just 1 minute. There is ChromeDriver, there is Event Firing Webdriver, Firefox driver, HTML unit driver. We'll talk about these. I just talked about 3 of them. iDriver, Remote WebDriver. Remote WebDriver is used in Grid. Okay, it is used in grid, and Safari driver is actually used for Safari, but not very stable. It is not very stable. You have to register as a developer with Apple for using Safari driver, and it is not so stable driver. Okay, event firing driver is something which helps you to fire uh, events like moving mouse, right? If you want to simulate moving a mouse, then you can use this, right? Or fine. And HTML unit driver can test without opening a browser. It can test behind the scenes. We'll talk about it. Fine, we'll talk about it. But understand that there are various drivers for every kind of class or something. Okay. So this is the complete Selenium WebDriver API. Now somebody asked me in the initial class that what's the exact difference between RC and WebDriver. Okay, there is no self driver. Venkat, there is no self driver. Right. If you go to Google and type Selenium RC Java doc, then this is the documentation of Selenium RC. Hold on. Where is the documentation? I think this is the one. No, oh, it used to be. Just 1 minute. They have removed it, I guess. Yes, they have removed it. Selenium RC is actually deprecated now. Okay, and they have removed the Java docs. Hold on, just a minute. Yeah, they have removed it. It's not present, but it was very small. Okay, it was not as big as Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so they have not kept it in a very good format. No, it's not there. Anyways, okay. Anyways, if you, I will try to search the Java docs and I'll tell you. But the only thing is there were limited classes. Only 10 or 12 classes were there. Okay, it just used to end up in the highlighted portion. That's it. But in WebDriver, they have introduced a lot of other functionalities as well. Fine. So this is about object-oriented programming. Now the next question arises is that if there is a driver for separate action, like Firefox driver, ChromeDriver, iDriver, then if there is a separate driver, then will the commands in each driver be different? If I have to click on a link in Firefox, will the command be same in Chrome and IE? Right. So that is the question. Or whether I have to fire a different command in every driver and I have to learn every driver separately. Okay. I will take this up in tomorrow's class. I don't have enough time to explain this. To explain this, I need to explain the concept of interfaces.